and welcome to our introductory video for our July card class 2023. Hello and welcome to you all. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the introductory video for our July class and explains some of the contents of the box and also a few explanatory points before you start creating. Obviously in the pack itself there are some printed instructions, well, dimensions I should say, and also a photograph of each of the projects as we go along. And there's a video for each single project. Some of them are straightforward and simple, some a little bit more extensive, but there's nothing hopefully too complicated. You will require some glue, a paper trimmer or guillotine, and a scoreboard or school tool to enable you to cut your card bases and score as necessary. So let me introduce you to the papers first of all. So this is the Fresh as a Daisy papers, and as you can see they feature daisies quite extensively. In your packs I have cut this sheet across this line here so that they fit in your A4 packs. So you'll have one sheet that has these elements on and one that has these, and you can start if you like by chopping those pieces up, because you can make a card obviously out of each of these pieces here. And you can use some of these for the backings, as you will see as we go through. So there's one sheet of that, and in your packs, because I've cut the 12 by 12 sheets in half, you will have two each of these, but they'll measure 6 inches across by 12, so these are uncut. So there's a variety of daisy themed papers. So there's this one with boho blue and the copper clay. We've got this one here with the garden green, the wild wheat in the background and some crushed curry. And then we have this one here with the pebbled path in the background. And then this one, I haven't got a full sheet because I've used some of it already, with the moody mauve in the background. So you'll have two each of those sheets, so plenty to be making cards with. The stamp set that goes with this is called Cheerful Daisies, which is this one here. You don't need the stamp set to complete the class, because we are using in the main the die cuts and the papers, and you have a whole series of other die cuts included as well. But these particular stamps also match the die cuts, and they have 4 nice sentiments: your friendship means everything, wishing you the brightest birthday, whoops a daisy so sorry, and you made my day. There's some centres to the flowers, there's a stalk here, and there's some additional flowers here. And all of these items, including the leaf, have dies that cut those elements out. In addition to that, we have a whole series of dies. These aren't all of them, but when I create a class, what I do is I lay out the dies and I make a note of how many of each. So this is just the ones that are cut in white, and then there's another one for the coloured layers. So for example, there's 6 of each per person, 8 each of these, 4 of these, etc. So that's my aid memoir, if you like, as to how many I need to arrange to be die cut. What I want to explain is how these layers go together. There are 3 layers basically. We have these outline layers that are the base. We have this one, which is the middle, and these are the detailed ones that go on the top. In addition to that, we also have some of these foliage and some tags and quite a few other little tags and elements as well. let me show you those three again. So I die cut them in different colours. So this is the base layer, this is the middle layer. Actually, maybe I'll do it on the back of here, you can see a little bit better. Now, you don't have to use all three layers by any means, you can just use one layer. And then we have these three here. So I die cut them in Bubble Bath, White and Bubble Bath. This one comes as a complete die, but you can just snip these apart. So if you wish, you can just, especially for some of them, take these leaves off, for example, and just cut along the line like so, and you can do the same with these ones here. So the way that these layer together, if you wish, is, and there is only one way for these to fit, so if they're not fitting after you've turned them round, just check that you haven't rotated this, because it doesn't translate both ways. Okay, so the more solid background is exactly that. If I just lay these on top without attaching, and then this one here, so you can literally just adhere those together. Let me bring those up to the screen a little bit. Not sure if you can see the layer behind. And then if you wish, you can add the detailed layer on top. Just going to lay these on, and again there is just one way for these to go, so it might take a bit of fiddling to get them in the right position, she says. There we go, got it in the end. Okay, and then we have this little one here, and these are all embossed, and that goes across there like that. So you can do all three layers. You do have some coloured layers as well as white ones. You will find some of those elements in your packs are coloured. I'm hoping you can see that. The other thing that you can do in your packs, you have a sponge dauber. Just trying to find mine, which was here a minute ago. Because what you can do is add some detail to your edges and the centres. I've got one here. Hopefully you can see that if I just lift that up a little bit. Oh, I'm not sure you can see it on there. Let me find some piece of white, back of the post-it note. So on this one, I've just added a little hint of pink around the edges, but you could use whichever colour you want for your design, depending on which papers you've chosen. So you could choose pink, you could use yellow, so I've used actually melon bamboo here, but if you have any of the colours from the pack, you could use those. So moody mauve, crushed curry. Let me see if I can find a sample here. This one I've added a little bit of blue in the centre, and also some yellow in the middle. And you could also, if you wanted to, instead of using a dauber, you could use some blends pens, for example. So if I just take this element here, you could, let me just grab a yellow to hand. And I haven't punched all the tiny little pieces out, obviously you probably want to do that. But for your centre, you can just use a blends pen, a Stampin' Up marker. You could even punch out a coloured circle and put that on top or behind. So that's one option that you have there. So that's quite a quick way to add colour without adding any extra layers. like so. Makes a pretty effective finished daisy. On this one here I've done the same, but I've used the sponge dauber to do these centres and just the edges of this daisy here. So I hope you can see that. It's quite difficult when it's white on white, isn't it? I should have thought about that and done some darker colours for you to see. Let me just see if I've got another sample. There's one here. So this is actually using one of those panels that we've cut up, and I've just used the dauber here with a bit of yellow, daffodil delight, and then a little bit of pumpkin pie, just to give it some interest. So you can do that with any of your sets of flowers. I recommend that you work out which card you want to do and then decide on your colour scheme. Because a lot of the flowers I've cut you are white, you can tint them accordingly, whether you want to add blues in or yellows in or pinks and purples. So it's up to you whether you do all 3 layers. You could do 2 layers, for example, like so, or you could have just a single layer, and it just depends on how much you want to decorate. Obviously, the more single layers you use, the more elements you'll have to make more cards, but there are plenty included in your packs. These are in a white envelope this time round, because there were so many of them. You also have a whole stack of coloured card that is A5 in size, so half of an A4 sheet, and they feature 10 of the main colours that are included in the papers themselves. So you've got some Moody Mauve, you've got Pretty Peacock, you've got Garden Green, you've got the pale pink here for Bubble Bath, you've got Crushed Curry, plenty of white card as well for your card bases. You've got some of the copper clay, which features in under here, and so you've got plenty, as well as 4 sheets of white card that makes obviously 8 base cards. And if you want to, you can swap out coloured card for the white. So if you have a particular design that you like, for example, let me grab this one here. So this one I kept very simply, but I used the blue, but I popped it onto the Bubble Bath card. So just to show you, I could have added in a bit more colour there, and then if I wanted to, you could add the extra layer and then build that up accordingly. And again, if you want this one, that's the hardest one to place. It has 2 little petals that are very close together, and they fit on the left hand side. And then finally, this one is really easy because there's only one way for that to fit, really. As I say, if it's not fitting properly, just make sure you haven't turned one of the pieces over. Let me bring that up to the screen so that you can see it. Obviously that's not attached. Okay, so the basis of the whole class uses the papers, and then you will have plenty left over for additional cards. So it's up to you whether you make one of each in turn. Obviously, if there's a particular style you don't like, you don't have to make that one, and you can in general swap out papers for alternative papers. So if you didn't want to use, for example, the boho blue one here, you could swap that and use it with the green and yellow daisies if you wanted to, and just add in a bit of yellow colouring for the daisy. Okay, so that's it. That's our introduction. You also have some gems that coordinate, and these are these ones here, adhesive wrapped solid gems, and this picks out 3 of the colours in the papers: the lemon lolly, boho blue and the copper clay, and you get a strip here for you to use. Okay, so that's the introduction. I hope you enjoy the class. Always welcome any feedback you may have, and always love to see what you've created. So if you want to share any of those, you can share those on my Gemini Crafts Facebook page. Thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to crafting with you very soon. Bye for now.